So we're entering into a different pace in this article and in this series. We're at the Take Home a Nude 2006 New York Academy of Art. This is something that's gone on 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, and 2011. They started to do it in Sotheby's, I think. And it's basically a load of artists. The New York Academy of Art's annual Take Home a Nude benefit art auction aids the Academy. Oh, let me just hide all my bits. The New York Academy of Art's annual Take Home a Nude benefit art auction aids Academy scholarships and educational programs. This year's live and silent auction featured more than 200 paintings, drawings, photographs, and sculptures by well-known artists, as well as Academy's most talented students, faculty, and alumni, sponsored by Ellie Tahari, who I think we'll see a picture of her later. And it shows a little there's a little gallery. We're in the way back machine here, so not all of the pictures. If I was going to the gallery, we're not going to see all of the pictures. But here we have a nice screen capture, and this screen capture was taken in 2007, August the 29th. And this page is actually 21 captures of this page, so it goes back to CCC 2006, which is the date of the Take Home a Nude, just before that. And you see there's a lot of artists, there's a few trustees and board of trustees, and we're on this page for a very good reason. In 2019, as this whole thing with Stan, David Bowie, and the man Bradley Edwards. Yeah, when these guys were all doing their thing later on and starting something up, well, they were also meeting with someone else. They were Stanley Pottinger and Brad Edwards would go to meet another supposed Epstein victim who had worked for Epstein once upon a time, called Maria Farmer. Now, some people out there have claimed that I was on a crusade against Maria Farmer, yet I hadn't said anything yet. And the reason why people would think that I'm on a crusade against Maria Farmer, yet I haven't said anything about her yet, was because Maria Farmer was telling everybody that I was on a crusade against her, because she knew that I knew a load of things that weren't right. And she knew that I was in contact with a load of people who used to be in contact with her, who she had messaged over and over again, and she had formed close relationships and bonds with, something that she does before she systematically breaks those relationships and bonds, it seems. And I have to say, I might come out of the screen share for this little tiny bit by here. I might come out to here and talk about this a little bit, because I've got to say quickly, before I start with the next bit, I never expected to be here. I thought Maria Farmer was just straight as it comes. I thought she was the most inspiring person, the way she spoke, the way she acted. I felt blessed to have known her at one point. I felt like she was really, like, the way she spoke, she was always so positive, and she was also always so nice. But that's how she was to everybody until she wasn't. And then she's becomes completely the opposite thing. And this has happened to multiple people. So I'm actually I got a bit of a growing support group of people who class themselves as, probably best way to put it, victims of Maria Farmer. And Maria Farmer systematically from 2019 has entered into mainly the people doing the independent research on Jeffrey Epstein, and has systematically befriended or talked to most of them. And the majority of interviews she does now, it gets really freaky. It gets really freaky. She started off in 2019 with interviews with Whitney Webb and Jason Bermas, and went really big. And she said some stuff in there which was edgy. But everybody was like, oh, she's one of the victims speaking out, and Epstein's definitely a criminal, so she's definitely a victim. Yes, go Maria Farmer. Everybody felt like that. And then over the years, basically, she befriended lots of people who felt like that about her. And she had them do jobs for her and do things for her that suited her, and help her out in loads of different ways. And then each of them, systematically, she turned on them. and she made them feel really bad, really, really bad. Some of them she had convinced of things that are really personal. And so I went on a kind of a journey at one point because, and for the people who don't understand how this started, well, Maria Farmer wanted somebody to go on the Unlimited Hangout podcast, and I was asked by Whitney Webb to check out this person. I checked out this person. He had 7 to 8 false identities. He had a load of fraud convictions, and he was not the person he said he was. And Maria Farmer was sure that he was, and I couldn't understand it. And she was trying to put him out to everybody, every single person on the independent media. She was trying to get this one person to go out, and I won't say his name because I won't give him any fuel. Because it's an operation. It's clearly an operation, like so clearly an operation. This person that she tried to put me in contact with, she had tried to have go on the Unlimited Hangout web podcast and other podcasts as well. This person not only has convictions and frauds, but I have had experience where people from all sides of this, from the Epstein accusers to the Epstein defenders, and the allies of Epstein, I've had them all try and put me in contact with the same person. It's coming from both sides. And it made me realize that all of the side was the same side. In actual fact, all of these people are all separate individuals who are all trying to find the best way to make the most out of their situation in the limelight of the Epstein case. And it's a strange limelight, it is. But by 2019, the newspapers were not only not to be trusted by most people, but most of their coverage on Epstein was just repetitive nonsense. And they were just trying to focus on certain allegations that were, you know, they were salacious and wonderful and interesting, but they weren't necessarily completely true and or evidence-based. They were what had been seeded into the narrative. So I've had to follow back and find out who Maria Farmer was, because Maria Farmer within one day she was one of my heroes. The next day someone I know was being tagged in emails to her solicitors where she was saying I was homophobic because I didn't want this person to go on the Unlimited Hangout podcast. And it wasn't like I didn't want this person. It was just I was asked to verify this person. And I was just bizarre. Went to a campaign of hate, but I had seen her do it to other people, and I kind of knew it was coming eventually. And it was a shock when it happened, but deep down, I'd always felt that it was going to happen. So, like I say, I know a load of people who have been through the same thing, and it's systematic. And in actual fact, what she does now is she goes around, has people put on a podcast, and then within about a week, she's telling those people to delete parts of the podcast, edit parts of the podcast, or delete it completely, because she can't. She said things, and she's contradicted herself in multiple places. So it's a really awkward case. Sorry. Hey, you. I'm not playing with your. She's on the bed growling at me because she wants me to throw this. She's now looking at me like, so I'm going to have to throw it once. But if you hear growling, that's what's going on, all right? It's Maria Farmer. Anyway.
See, people can see we got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
We're not even editing this out.
No, 100% authentic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I had a bit of I didn't expect any of that. And I'm not stupid. I know when someone's seeding someone in, and I'm a really good researcher. And she seems to have underestimated nearly everybody on the independent media. She thought they were all idiots, and she treated them like that. And some people have acted like idiots. Some of the people who have her on their show and go back and delete through, like I'm talking about a woman called Carmen Struder, for example, Studer. She goes through her previous interviews with Maria, and she's got to delete them. So what's the point of creating content? If the person who you created content is going to lie to you on it, then he's going to make you delete it, and then he's going to ask you to record another one. It's just ridiculous. I know people who originally spoke with Maria. I won't say, like, there's a group of people who originally spoke with Maria who won't respond to certain emails now because there's just no point in it. It's obvious that there is an operation, and it was run from 2019. And so I'm about to show you that Maria Farmer her story doesn't line up, and I couldn't understand why it didn't line up, and it led to Stan Pottinger. When I first come across the name Pottinger properly was because Maria Farmer was in a relationship with him, a sexual relationship with him, and I couldn't understand it because I thought it must be she must have been seeing his son Matthew Pottinger, who's about 50 now, and she's about 54, 55. I thought that must be what it is. I found a load of things. I found a load of evidence that just didn't make any sense, and I realized and also she admits out loud in different videos. A lot of these have been deleted online, offline, but have been now saved offline by a group of people who I have saving every single one of the videos for evidence. Because eventually, Maria, we're going to court, love. Eventually, I am going to take you to court. Eventually, me and you, we're going to see each other in court, girl, because you've gone too far in many ways. Some of the things you said, and she's been on a campaign. Now, you want to see a crusade, you go and see, I'll eventually build up a nice video montage of the videos she made about me before I'd even said anything about her. So before this moment now, where I'm saying something out loud, I'm speaking out loud, she's calling me things like Johnny Predmore and stuff and putting my name on TikTok videos. I know.
That's weak. That's weak.
I know. So what I did
Keep us
was
out of it.
Yeah, it's too
We're
late
not
for
pointing
that.
the finger here.
It's too late.
We don't know you, Maria. We don't fucking know you.
We barely know Johnny.
Yeah, I know. These guys have got nothing to do with it, Maria. Leave them out of it, mate. No, you will get the person contact you and try and you'll get 2 or 3 different people. I'll tell you who their names are, and you'll get them contact you. And then what's really bizarre is they contact me and they tell me, I'm on your side. I've turned against Maria now. I don't want to blah, 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 blah. And then the next week they're making videos about how horrible I am and how nice Maria is, and it's just they can't even control themselves. It's like a group of narcissists that went out of control and felt a little power. So basically, I discovered that Stanley Pottinger had been in a relationship with her for a while, and Maria Farmer had put out the story that basically she had been in hiding since the Vicky Ward article. Vicky Ward came out with an article. She was supposed to do a piece on Maria, and she met Maria, and then the piece turned out to be a puff piece on Epstein. So listen, I don't know what actually happened in the past, but I know that in the middle, all of the stuff that Maria was saying is a lie. She did not go into hiding after that at all. And so we're going to have to go through some stuff, and some of it is going to be really, really sad for a lot of people who put a lot of faith in a woman who has ridden on the back of sexual assault. And here we are. Take Home and Nude 2006. While Maria Farmer is in hiding, she is also listed here taking part. Maria Farmer, as you see her name written right by there. In actual fact, it's written right near her teacher's name, one of her teachers, a person who she's pictured with in probably appear in the article, maybe, Eric Fischel, who has some of the most suspicious of paintings that you could possibly ever see, and people note that quite a lot. His nudes of little young girls with suggestive names. It causes issues for some people. Now, on the benefit committee were some big names too. One of them that you would know of course, would be Liev Schreiber, who turned up to these events. Yeah, Liev Schreiber. But I mean, if you trustee of Hugh Carey, anybody else? What about royal patron? How about King Charles I being a royal patron? That's interesting, isn't it? How about the people who first introduced Maria Farmer? The person who first introduced Maria Farmer to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. If you were in hiding, would you want that person, the first person to ever introduce you and to force you to apparently sell your art at half price to Ghislaine and Jeffrey? Yeah. And she tells that story around. Would you want Guggenheim to know you were there? Because I can tell you that at this Take Home a Nude auction in 2006 in New York City. Here is Eileen Guggenheim. Here is Ellie Tahari, who hosts the event. And this is where Maria Farmer's art was being displayed while she was in hiding to the people she was in hiding to. So I've got problems straight away with Maria Farmer's rundown events. Here you go, 2006, Eileen Guggenheim and Ellie Tahari at the Take Home a Nude. Oh, what's this? Oh, of course it's Maria Farmer, and it's a Twitter account in 2011 when she's in hiding. Of course it is, because when you're in hiding, it's really good to tell everybody about your art and everything about your life. She's big into cat rescue back then. Is actually a Facebook account as well. Her Facebook account, one of the posts, I think it's on her Facebook, it's either Facebook or Twitter, where she says, can anybody get me in touch with Eileen Guggenheim, the person she's supposed to be in hiding from, but she's saying this in 2011. So what about mariafarmer.com? How about mariafarmer.com? If you were in hiding, would you want to tell people about all of your life and have your own website that's literally in your name called mariafarmer.com? Every time I looked into something, there was something wrong. And it got even worse. It got even worse when I got to the conspiracy. The conspiracy involving Maria Farmer and Stan Pottinger. Because here we have Federal Anti-Fraud Enforcement, LLC. You see, Maria Farmer was intimately involved in this case, it seems, before she filed her first affidavit and before that book, Relentless Pursuit, give her a backstory. And before all of that stuff, we hadn't really heard of Maria Farmer. But in 2017, 5th of July 2017, 2 years before the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein, 2 years, that's quite a long time, Federal Anti-Fraud Enforcement LLC was registered at 49 Twin Lakes Road, Suite 100, South Salem. Do you remember who lives in Twin Lakes? Can anybody guess who lives in Twin Lakes? It's not the only one either. There was another one. It was QTAM Consultants Limited, was also registered around the same time. 49 Twin Lakes Road, Suite 100. He likes saying that. QTAM. And there you go. There's the LLC, the information about the address. I think we know the address there. And I'm wondering if will it actually say here? I think it says it here somewhere. Or if it doesn't matter too much, because eventually they got themselves a website, didn't they? The Federal Anti-Fraud Enforcement LLC is a combat fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicare and Medicaid programs. That's strange, isn't it? Talks about Medicaid. It's all about these sort of programs. And if you look at the About page, and here you go. There's J. Stanley Pottinger, who works there, Shana Praga and Brittany Henderson, who are part of Bradley Edwards' group. Oh, David Bowies is there as well. Look, David Bowies is there. It's good David Bowies turns up, and Margaret Cassidy, and of course Maria Farmer. What? Maria Farmer works for Stan Pottinger and David Bowies, and what, in a company set up in 2017? I can't get it. What does that mean? Chief Administrator of Website Services, has over 30 years of experience with research and intellectual property designs. Well, I mean, you can find out more because she has a page here, so you can tell it's definitely the same Maria Farmer, the CEO of Matisse and Degas Atelier at this point, going under her own name still, of course. I mean, she is in hiding, though. Is FAE's chief research and editor for online news and information. Before assuming this position, she worked independently owned company in New York, where her professional focus was on web research, design, editing, and postings, so content. And it talks about where she studied and all of that, and how she direction of Eric Fischel. It is definitely Maria Farmer working with Stanley Pottinger, and this is that's never been mentioned. Wow. Never been mentioned. And is there a conflict of interest in there? that one of the people who becomes named in the case and wins compensation in the case was actually working with the legal team beforehand, and it seems that she's told a load of Porky Pie's lies. She's told a load of mistruths all over the place. There is an operation going, people. There is an operation. And the most disgusting thing on earth is to use the sexual abuse of children and young women to make an operation happen, to work for the intelligence services on the back of raped children. So that goes with all of their gang. All of the gang who are doing that, you deserve more time than is normally due to someone like you.